Hello, and welcome to Book Momentum, the channel where we transform groundbreaking books into immersive visual stories. We believe that the right book can change your life, and our goal is to bring its ideas to you with clarity and cinematic depth. In this episode, we delve into a modern classic that has reshaped how millions think about wealth. We are exploring The Psychology of Money, timeless lessons on wealth, greed, and happiness by Morgan Housel. Written by Morgan Housel, a partner at the Collaborative Fund and a former columnist for The Motley Fool and The Wall Street Journal, this book is celebrated for its accessible storytelling and profound insights. Published in 2020, this book falls at the intersection of personal finance and psychology. It argues that our relationship with money is driven less by what we know and more by how we behave. Join us as we unpack the timeless lessons from The Psychology of Money, exploring why our behavior is the single most important factor in building a wealthy life. Let's begin. The central thesis of the book is disarmingly simple yet revolutionary. Financial success is not a hard science. It's a soft skill where your behavior is more important than your intelligence. Housel introduces this idea through a powerful contrast. We meet Ronald Reed, a humble janitor who quietly amassed an $8 million fortune through patient saving and investing over a lifetime. In stark opposition is Richard Fuscone, a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive. Despite his brilliance and high income, he went bankrupt after being consumed by greed and debt. This contrast sets the stage for the book's 20 chapters, each a short story illustrating a crucial aspect of our psychological relationship with money. It's a guide on how to think, not a manual on what to do. Morgan Housel acts as our guide, weaving together history, psychology, and personal anecdotes. He aims to equip us with the mental models needed to navigate our own financial lives successfully. The book begins by arguing that no one's financial decisions are crazy. Instead, they are rational choices shaped by a person's unique life experiences with money, which represent a tiny sliver of the world's economic history. Someone who grew up during the Great Depression learned different lessons about risk and savings than someone who came of age during the 1990s tech boom. Your personal history with money heavily anchors your worldview. Housel points out that modern finance is incredibly new. Concepts like 401ks and index funds are only a few decades old. In the grand scheme of things, we are all novices, learning as we go. Luck and risk are presented as two sides of the same coin, powerful external forces that shape our outcomes. Every result in life is guided by forces other than just individual effort, and we often underestimate their role. To illustrate luck, Housel tells the story of Bill Gates. Gates's success was not just genius, it was also a 1 in a million chance of attending one of the only high schools in the world with a computer in 1968. The flip side is risk, embodied by Gates's equally brilliant friend Kent Evans. He was poised for similar success, but was tragically killed in a mountaineering accident before graduation, a 1 in a million dose of bad luck. The lesson is to be humble. Since extreme outcomes are often dominated by luck and risk, we should avoid idolizing specific individuals. Instead, we should focus on broad, replicable patterns of success and failure. This chapter warns against the destructive danger of shifting goalposts. The hunger for more money, more status, more recognition, can lead even the wealthiest people to risk everything for something they don't need. The engine of this dangerous desire is social comparison. We don't gauge our wealth in a vacuum. We gauge it relative to those around us. This creates a game that is impossible to win, as there's always someone with more. Housel uses the examples of Rajat Gupta, a millionaire who used insider trading to chase billionaire status, and Bernie Madoff, who was already wildly successful before starting his Ponzi scheme. They risked what they had and needed for what they didn't. True victory in the game of money isn't getting more, it's wanting less. The key is to define what enough means for you, protecting invaluable assets like your reputation, freedom, and peace of mind. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in finance, but our minds, which are wired for linear thinking, struggle to comprehend its magic. Small, consistent growth can lead to results so extraordinary they seem counterintuitive. The ultimate case study is Warren Buffett. While he is a brilliant investor, his real secret is time. He started investing at age 10 and has been doing it for over 75 years, allowing his wealth to compound for an unprecedented duration. To put this in perspective, Housel notes that of Buffett's $84.5 billion net worth at the time of writing, a staggering $81.5 billion came after his 65th birthday. This is the unintuitive result of compounding. The lesson is that you don't need to earn the highest returns to win. You need to earn pretty good returns that you can stick with for the longest possible period. Consistency and longevity are the keys. Housel argues that getting money and keeping money are two entirely different things. They require opposite mindsets and skills, which is why many people who get rich don't stay rich. To build wealth, you often need to take risks, be optimistic about the future, and put yourself out there. It's an offensive game focused on growth and opportunity. But to keep wealth, you need the opposite: humility, frugality, and a healthy dose of paranoia. It's a defensive game, centered on survival and the awareness that what you've earned can be lost just as quickly. The most crucial financial skill is survival. The ability to stick around long enough, through all the market's ups and downs, without being wiped out, is what allows compounding to work its magic. In many areas of life, and especially in investing, a tiny number of events account for the majority of the results. These are known as tail events, rare, extreme, and massively consequential. This means you can be wrong, lose money, or make suboptimal decisions often. As long as you capture the gains from a few huge winners, you can still come out far ahead. Venture capital is a perfect example of this. Housel points out that we study tail events, the most successful companies, investors, and products. But we often forget that their success is the result of a tiny fraction of their actions, while many of their other bets failed. The key is to structure your finances so that you can endure the failures and stay in the game long enough for the rare, winning tail events to occur. It's another argument for the survival mindset. What is the ultimate purpose of wealth? Housel argues forcefully that it's not luxury cars or big houses. The greatest intrinsic value of money is its ability to give you control over your time. The ability to wake up and say, "I can do whatever I want today," is the ultimate form of wealth. This level of autonomy is a more reliable contributor to happiness than any level of income or material possessions. Having savings gives you options. It means you don't have to take the first job you're offered. You can wait for a better opportunity. You can take time off. You can handle an emergency without falling into debt. That is freedom. This chapter introduces a subtle but powerful paradox. When we see someone in a fancy car, we rarely think, "Wow, that person is so cool." Instead, we think, "Wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool." The irony is that people use wealth as a way to signal to others that they should be liked and admired. But others often bypass admiring the person and use the possession as a new benchmark for their own desires. Housel suggests that if respect and admiration are your goals, you are more likely to attain them through humility, kindness, and empathy than through horsepower and chrome. These qualities are far more valuable. Housel draws a critical distinction between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich is visible. It's spending money on cars, houses, and luxury goods. It's easy to spot. Wealth, on the other hand, is hidden. It's the money that you've saved and invested, not spent. It's the financial assets that you haven't yet turned into visible stuff. The world is full of people who look modest but are truly wealthy, and people who look rich but are living on the edge of insolvency. True wealth gives you the flexibility and options that freedom requires. Building wealth has three components: your income, your investment returns, and your savings rate. While you have some influence on the first two, your savings rate is the one factor you have near total control over. A high savings rate can be achieved at any income level. A janitor who saves 20% of their income can build more wealth than a doctor who saves only 5%. Wealth is simply the gap between your ego and your income. Saving money is the ultimate hedge against a world where the future is always uncertain. It gives you a buffer for when things inevitably go wrong, allowing you to survive and stay in the game. When it comes to money, you don't need to be perfectly rational. You need to be psychologically reasonable. The best financial plan is not the one with the highest expected returns on a spreadsheet. It's the one you can actually stick with. Purely rational strategies often fail because they don't account for human emotions like fear, greed, and regret. A reasonable approach acknowledges these feelings and builds a plan that can withstand them. Housel uses his own decision to pay off his mortgage as an example. While mathematically irrational, he could earn higher returns in the market. The peace of mind it provides is reasonable and helps him sleep at night. This emotional stability is priceless. This chapter cautions against relying too heavily on past data to predict future events. History is mostly a study of surprising events that were unprecedented at the time they occurred. Think of World War I, the Great Depression, or the rise of the Internet. These events reshaped the world, yet they weren't forecasted by looking at historical trends. The biggest risks are always the ones no one sees coming. We use history as a guide to the limits of what's possible, but we forget that those limits are constantly being rewritten. The lesson is to expect the unexpected and maintain a margin of safety. A margin of safety, or room for error, is the only effective way to navigate a world governed by odds, not certainties. It's the gap between what you think will happen and what could happen if things go wrong. Room for error is what lets you endure. It allows you to survive mistakes, bad luck, and unforeseen events. It keeps you in the game long enough for your good decisions and good luck to pay off. This can take many forms: having ample cash savings, diversifying your investments, or simply not being leveraged to the hilt. It's about building buffers into your life so that one bad event doesn't cause a catastrophe. We are poor predictors of our future selves. People's goals and desires change dramatically over time. This makes rigid, long-term financial planning extremely difficult. Psychologists call this the end of history illusion, the tendency to acknowledge how much you've changed in the past, but to believe your current self is the final version who will not change much in the future. The lesson is to avoid extreme financial plans. Don't commit to a life of extreme frugality or a career you hate just for money, because your future self may regret it deeply. Aim for balance and maintain flexibility. Successful investing demands a price, but it's not a price you pay in dollars and cents. The price of market returns is volatility, fear, doubt, and uncertainty, all of which are unavoidable. Housel suggests a powerful mental switch. View this price as a fee for admission to good returns, not a fine for doing something wrong. A fee is a predictable cost for a service, while a fine is a punishment for a mistake. When you see volatility as a fee, it becomes a normal part of the process. This mindset helps you endure downturns without panicking and selling, which is the key to capturing long-term growth. You have to be willing to pay the price. This chapter explains that market bubbles and crashes are often fueled by people with different goals and time horizons taking cues from one another. A day trader and a long-term retirement investor are playing two completely different games. Bubbles aren't necessarily about irrational valuations. They form when the momentum of short-term traders, who are playing a game of "what will this stock do tomorrow?" attracts long-term investors, who should be playing a different game entirely. The key is to not be swayed by the actions and behaviors of people who are not playing the same game as you. Define your own time horizon and strategy, and don't take your financial cues from those with different goals. Housel analyzes why pessimism is so intellectually captivating. An optimist sounds like a naive salesperson, while a pessimist sounds like a sharp, analytical mind trying to help you. Bad news just feels more urgent and credible. Another reason is asymmetry. Progress happens slowly, almost invisibly, over long periods. Setbacks like market crashes or wars happen suddenly and dramatically, capturing our full attention. Despite pessimism's allure, the historical record is clear. The long-term trend for humanity and markets is upward. Optimism is the belief that the odds are in your favor over time, even with many bumps along the way. This chapter explores our preference for appealing stories over cold, hard data. We aren't spreadsheet-driven creatures. We are narrative-driven. We want to believe in stories that make sense of the world. The danger lies in appealing fictions, stories we believe because we want them to be true, not because they are. We construct narratives to fill in the gaps of our knowledge, which can lead to poor financial decisions. The more we want or need a certain outcome, like a stock going to the moon or a get-rich-quick scheme working, the more likely we are to believe the story that supports it, ignoring all evidence to the contrary. This chapter provides a concise summary of the book's core concepts. It's a rapid-fire review of the most actionable takeaways from the preceding chapters. Housel reiterates the importance of humility in the face of luck and risk, and the need to control your ego to avoid the trap of never enough. He emphasizes that wealth is built by surviving long enough to let compounding work. Define wealth as what you don't see, and use your savings to buy freedom and control over your time. Finally, be reasonable rather than rational. Always leave room for error and understand that volatility is the price of admission. It's a powerful synthesis of the book's philosophy. In the final chapter, Morgan Housel shares his own family's financial approach. He grounds the book's abstract lessons in his personal, real-world behavior, adding a layer of authenticity. He reveals that his family's primary financial goal is independence. They maintain a very high savings rate, not to get rich, but to have control over their time. They invest in simple, low-cost index funds and hold a significant amount of cash. He reiterates his reasonable but not rational choice to have no mortgage because the psychological freedom it provides is worth more than any potential market return. The postscript provides crucial historical context. It traces the journey of the American consumer from the end of World War II, a period of shared prosperity and low debt, to the present day. Housel argues that many of our modern financial anxieties stem from a clash. We've inherited the consumer expectations of the post-war boom, but now live in an era of stagnant wages for many and rising inequality. This historical perspective helps us understand not just our own financial psychology, but the collective psychology that shapes our economy. It provides a backdrop for why concepts like never enough are so prevalent today. The book's most fundamental lesson is that your financial success depends more on your emotional discipline, humility, and patience than on your IQ or technical knowledge. How you behave is the master variable. Time is the most powerful force in finance. The magic of compounding requires a long horizon, which in turn demands a survival-first mindset. The goal is not to get the highest returns, but to get good returns for the longest time. The ultimate purpose of building wealth is not to buy more things, but to buy more freedom. Control over your time and life choices is the highest dividend money can pay, and a direct path to a happier life. Finally, market returns are not free. Volatility, fear, and uncertainty are the price you must pay. Accepting this price as a fee rather than a fine is the key to enduring the journey and reaping the rewards. Now that we've explored the key ideas, let's step back and review the psychology of money across 3 key aspects. For ideas and concepts, we give this book a 9 out of 10. The central premise that behavior is more important than intelligence is a powerful and much-needed perspective in the world of finance. Housel's concepts like reasonable, rational, and the man in the car paradox provide genuinely new mental models for readers. They reframe complex psychological biases into simple, memorable, and actionable insights. The only reason it doesn't get a perfect score is its tendency to focus on individual behavior while largely sidestepping deeper systemic issues. However, for its intended purpose, the clarity and power of the ideas are exceptional. In terms of writing style, The Psychology of Money earns a perfect 10 out of 10. Morgan Housel is a master storyteller, and this book is a masterclass in making a complex topic feel simple and engaging. The prose is clear, concise, and completely free of jargon. Housel's tone is humble and empathetic, making the reader feel understood rather than lectured. The use of short chapters and compelling anecdotes makes it a true page-turner. It is incredibly rare for a finance book to be this enjoyable to read. The style is what elevates the book from a good collection of ideas into a great and memorable experience. For impact and applicability, we rate the book a 9 out of 10. Its lessons are truly timeless and can be applied by anyone, regardless of their income or financial knowledge. This is not a how-to guide with stock tips, but a how-to-think guide that provides a durable mental framework. Reading this book is likely to permanently change your relationship with money for the better. The focus on universal human behaviors makes its wisdom applicable across different cultures and economic circumstances. Whether you are just starting out or already wealthy, the book has valuable lessons to offer. With an impressive overall score of 9.3 out of 10, The Psychology of Money stands as a modern masterpiece in financial literature. It is essential reading for anyone looking to build a healthier relationship with money. Ultimately, this is more than a book about investing or personal finance. It's a book about how we think about risk, reward, happiness, and freedom. It's a guide to living a richer life, not just financially, but emotionally and psychologically. Housel successfully teaches us that wealth isn't about numbers on a screen. It's about waking up with a sense of peace and control. It's about having options and the freedom to live life on your own terms. The book's power lies in its simple, profound truths, delivered through unforgettable stories. It reminds us that the person in the mirror is the most important factor in our financial future. We wholeheartedly recommend The Psychology of Money to everyone. It is a book that will pay dividends in wisdom for years to come. In summary, The Psychology of Money is a rare book that delivers profound wisdom in a simple, elegant package. It shifts the focus from complex financial mechanics to the timeless patterns of human behavior. Our final rating of 9.3 out of 10 reflects its excellence in storytelling, the power of its ideas, and its universal applicability. It's a book that truly provides a new lens through which to view your financial life. If these ideas resonated with you, we highly encourage you to read the book for yourself. Links to buy the book are in the description below. If you enjoyed this summary, please like, comment with your thoughts, and follow Book Momentum for more deep dives into the world's most impactful books. Your support helps us create more content like this. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep turning the pages.